your clients. You've made it very clear that you paid your taxes. Okay, I'll accept your word on that. But the people who, or the entities that you were helping and that you were making money from, you were helping them avoid U.S. taxes. Otherwise, they could have invested here.
Senator, let me first answer the first part of your question, which I will tell you, and I've said this before and I will repeat it again. I assure you that these forms are very complicated. I don't have the form in front of me, but I believed it said, to the best of my knowledge, this is true. And when I certified those forms, I thought it was correct. Perhaps it was a mistake in giving the committee information early, and I should have waited until I had finished the 278 and the ethics office. It was not just a function of your office. We were in the process of correcting things.
But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand the word list all positions. All positions.
Senator, in all due respect, I had a lot of complicated entities. You're referring to I didn't list the director. I listed the entity. So the fact that I didn't list I was a director was not intended to hide anything. And as I've mentioned, in regards to my $100 million of real estate, my lawyer, who's quite sophisticated in this stuff and actually has done this for many, many nominees before, believed that we filled out the form correctly and that
Let's get to the heart of my question. The heart of my question is, didn't you create these offshore entities that most Americans can create or take advantage of in order to help your clients who you were making money from avoid U.S. taxes?
No, not necessarily, okay? So first of all, I want to say it's important that the committee and the American public understand,
what were you doing it for then?
That this was done so that different entities could invest. So sometimes it had nothing to do with taxes. It had to do with what they could invest in and they couldn't invest in. And as I've said to you, if you want to put me on for the entire hedge fund and pension fund, you know, we should have an IRS session to go through these issues, and I'd be more than happy to work with you and your offices to go through. These are very complicated issues.
Well, I appreciate that, but let me make the complication simple. One does not go and create offshore entities at the end of the day other than to avoid, in some form or fashion, the tax laws of the United States. That's pretty simple. And so that may be even legal, in which case we should definitely close it. But you have to question whether or not that is the essence of what we want as leadership. And so I'd like to hear you be more determinative of saying, yes, we're going to close all of those down if I can convince the President-elect to do so in Congress, because what you did may have been legal, but it certainly was to help people and entities avoid U.S. taxes.
Well, first of all, I'm absolutely committed to work with you in your office, as I've said, on tax simplification and to cut down and make sure that we don't let anybody avoid taxes. In certain cases, this is not a function of avoiding taxes. It was to create eligible investments for certain nonprofits. But I agree with you completely. I'm on board with what you said. I'd be happy to work with your office to simplify the tax code.
Whose investments were ultimately eligible, therefore, to avoid some taxes.
Again, it may have been an eligibility issue and not a tax issue, but I agree with you that this does not make sense, and I will work with you in your office. I've committed to do that,